We're going to make a Banoffi pie filled with caramel condensed milk, cream, bananas, and what more could you ask for? Firstly, we're going to start with a rich shortcrust pastry. So we need to weigh our flour, 280 grams, a little bit of caster sugar because we're making a shortcrust pastry with a sweet filling, a pinch of salt, and we need to process the dry ingredients first before we add the butter, just to mix them through. Now the butter needs to be cold because the colder the butter, the better the pastry is to work with. So you want to cut that butter into the flour so that it distributes well in the pastry. I'm going to let the metal blade of the machine work it in. Now the batter's well mixed, so all I need to add is an egg yolk, a little bit of iced water sprinkled over the top. It's about 2 tablespoons, and you need to judge it because sometimes your dough will be drier and sometimes it'll need a little bit more water. And just process that until it comes to a ball. Pop this onto the counter. It's a beautiful, smooth, silky dough, quite soft, so I need to work with it carefully. And I'm making it in the shape of this long rectangular tin. So I'm going to roll it exactly how it needs to go into the tin. So very gently roll it and make sure that you've always got flour underneath so that it doesn't stick to the counter. Right, so we're rolling. So I need it to be exactly the same size, plus a little bit more for the edges. So we want it slightly longer, but now a little bit wider. So measuring it on top, cut off this excess, which I know I'm not going to need. And now I want to fold it over once and literally just pick it up and put it into the tin. And press it into the tin. Don't worry if it cracks a little bit, it's not a problem. Just use your fingers to press it nicely into the tin, ensuring that you don't have any holes. Right, so we're ready to trim off the edges. I like to use the rolling pin so I get a nice even edge. And just gently with a fork prick the base. We want to bake this pastry blind, and what that means is we need to line it first with some beans to weigh down the pastry so that it doesn't puff up. Bake it for about 10 minutes with the beans inside. Then remove the beans and bake it for another 10 to 15 minutes without any beans so that the pastry gets completely baked through. My pastry base is cooled, so I'm ready to fill it, but I've used a loose bottom tart tin. So I need to get it out of the tart tin before I fill it. It makes it just much easier. So I'm just going to drop the sides down that way, put it onto my serving platter, and then fill it. So first let's whip the cream with a bit of sugar. Right, the cream is ready, but I need to start off with the caramelized condensed milk. Very decadent this, and many calories, but well worth it. So we spread a thin layer on the pastry. You could use the whole tin, but I think it would be a little bit too much. Now we want to use our whipped cream. Finish it off with our bananas. Nice thick slices. Sit on top. And you don't have to arrange these perfectly. It's quite nice when they're in a bit of a loose fashion. Now just a little bit of dark chocolate. We'll finish it off, grate it on top, and that just gives you the final touch. What more could you ask for? A delicious, decadent Banoffi pie.